I do want to talk to our first Christian of the day. I want to talk to Kathy in Pennsylvania. Kathy, you're live with Eric, You're live with Eric and Seth. What would you like to talk about?
Hi, Eric, and hi, Seth. How are you today?
Good, thank you.
Good. What did you want to talk about today?
Now, I was going to talk about the recent presidential election, but I was told that you can't really get political.
Well, what we can do is we can endorse, first off, I think I'm required to say that the hosts of the various shows do not necessarily represent the opinions of the atheist community of Austin. On top of that, we could lose our nonprofit status if we tell people if we endorse a candidate. But if it's an issue, we can talk about issues all day long. People call in about abortion all the time.
I'm not asking for anybody to reveal what, if any, political affiliation they have at all. It really doesn't matter. It's the issue of calling yourself a Christian and acting in a completely oppositional way. And in reference to the coronavirus, my daughter lives in Austin, as a matter of fact, and so does my ex-husband. And I know how badly I live in, obviously, Pennsylvania, and we're both, it's just killing people it's horrible. I don't know any other way to describe it. But Trump is still president, and instead of filing frivolous lawsuits, going nowhere, Joe Biden won. He could go on TV right now, and he could tell people to wear masks.
How does the Christian end come into this?
Christian comes in is that if he were truly a Christian, as he says he is, he could go on TV. He could say that's what a true Christian, not a no true Scotsman fallacy.
Okay, so you know what a no true Scotsman fallacy is?
Yes, a little bit. I'm not. Okay. I'm not much about philosophy.
That's okay. I think you actually have hit the nail right where you need it to be. That is right where you need to go, is that no true Scotsman piece. So who gets to decide who's a Christian or not?
I don't get to decide, make that decision. Only he does.
Only who does?
I'm looking. Trump.
Trump gets to decide who all the Christians are?
No. He gets to decide whether or not he is a Christian himself.
Oh, okay.
He is. Okay, that's what I said. I wasn't trying to.
That's her point. I'm sorry. I was trying to clarify. I hope I did you justice there.
Right. I don't want to gish gallop either all over the place. So.
No, you're good. So are you saying that you think? Well, first, I guess the more important one underneath that is it sounds like you're wanting Christian to be synonymous with good person. Is that about right?
Yes, that is right. Exactly right.
Okay. Can you be a good person and not a Christian?
Yes.
Okay. So how can you tell a Christian from a non-Christian if they're both good people?
You really can't. I always considered Christianity and good to be synonymous, but you can't tell the difference. But if you're going to claim you're a Christian, I would expect you to at least act like a good person. That's my feeling.
I interpreted her statement a little bit differently. I think what you're saying is that someone who had embraced the best teachings of Jesus Christ would then emulate those teachings in their own life. And if you look at Donald Trump, do you see the things that the best incarnation of Christ taught and wanted us to emulate? Is there charity? No. Is there humility? No. Is there consideration for the poor? No. Is there respect for your fellow human beings? No. Is it welcoming the outsider? No. Is it rejecting vengeance? No. I mean, one point after the other, you are saying that if Jesus existed and the best incarnation of Jesus was looking at Donald Trump, he would not see something that he could ever endorse. And if Donald Trump was emulating Christ, he would be all of those wonderful things that Christ was in the New Testament. Is that more along the line of what you were saying?
Exactly. That is an exact an exact summation of what I am thinking right now.
That's what I do. You know,
Nice.
I distill. I distill. Well, you've hit on a salient point. I just finished Michael Cohen's book. Michael Cohen's the former personal attorney for Donald Trump. And he was talking about the fact that Donald Trump holds no God belief whatsoever. Never did. But he understood the power of aligning yourself with religions. And so he had all these, when he was running, he had all these theist, mega pastor, powerful evangelical types together to pray for him and endorse him. And Michael Cohen was talking about the irony of having a guy who just thinks it's all just a bunch of craziness and it's stupid and it's weak and it's pathetic. But he knew that if he aligned himself with the right group, that he might be able to consolidate power. And so I think we've seen someone who has weaponized religious belief, much like he has weaponized the flag and the symbols of patriotism, and is using it for personal gain. I think of Jesus Christ, the best incarnation. And the reason I say it that way, the best incarnation of Christ, is because Jesus wasn't always a good guy. Jesus, quite often in the Bible, was the villain of the Jesus story. But if you look at the best teachings, and you see, you know, Donald Trump tear gassing people so he can stand in front of a church he does not attend to wave a Bible he does not read or know, we then see that this is a guy who Jesus would probably cast out of the temple angrily and say, this guy isn't on my team, he doesn't represent me, right? WWJD, that would not be a Trump thing. I think I take your point there.
You have a beautiful. I was going to say, I've seen you on the Atheist Experience. I'm going to say I know I had got a little bit of your background in Christian. You did Christian talk show or what, radio hosting or talk show?
I did a little of both, yeah.
Doesn't he have the voice for it?
You do have the voice for it.
It's all done. It's all synthesized. I actually sound like Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
Or Matt Dillahunty, you know. Either way, they're interchangeable. So
yeah, that sums up pretty much. You know what? It's so. Most Christians have their beliefs are like I've often heard they cherry pick all the verses from the Bible, both Old and New, throw out anything that is in complete, diametrically opposed to what their belief in Jesus would be. And as you said, and hence his pick, Mike Pence, for vice president, in my opinion, was meant to shore up an evangelical base.
Did you say that you were a Christian?
I'm a theist.
You're a theist or a deist?
A theist.
Which God?
I'm not. I believe in God, just plain God. I'm not sure. I can't believe that the earth was created in 7 days. My brother is a geologist, so I know that's not possible.
Definitely. I think, Seth, you were touching on that. That does sound like it's moving closer and closer to deism and away from theism.
Yeah.
Well, I believe we go on to another plane of existence after we die. I have older brother who's got a lot of mental health and mentally challenged, and I believe that I'll see him again restored to normal. And my mother will see him. It was difficult on my parents because back then they didn't know anything about mental health issues. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is I believe that I'll see him restored to normal. And I had an abortion as a teenager, so I believe I'll see my baby again in heaven.
And that belief gives you a kind of comfort. It helps you cope.
Yeah.
I see.
It does. So, I mean, it's intellectually, I know, but in my heart, it's a heart and head type thing. I know on an intellectual level. I understand.
Yeah, and on an intellectual level, ultimately, over time, things change, but it does take time for those things to happen. For me, the power of prayer, especially talking to lots of other people, they will have left their religion entirely, but still pray. And it wasn't until that kind of stopped being as useful that it went. But take your time, and thank you for calling in.
Well, you told me to have a better argument, Eric. I've called in like 2 or 3 times.
Oh, what was your better argument?
Need to put together a more succinct argument because I was nervous, really nervous. But it's nice to talk to you guys. I hope you can stay safe down there where the COVID is rampant. And as I said, these religious people, all they do is ask for money and then they laugh in your face, basically. They're not doing any good with it. They're just putting it in their own pockets, I think. So, hey, have a great day. Thank you.
You hang in there. Thank you.
Too. Kathy, you did really well.
We talk about religious people. I mean, I get the tendency to put everybody in a box. There are some religious people out there who aren't, they're not out there blaming and naming and shaming and spreading awfulness. They genuinely are helping with charitable work. They care about their fellow human being. They would give you the shirt off their back. If they see your car broken down on the side of the road, they'll stop to help you. I mean, I don't think what they're doing is something that's uniquely religious. I think they're just doing good for goodness sake with some religious window dressing. But, when she was talking about all religions are this or they all do that, I reject that. I'm married to a God believer, for Pete's sake, and she's the most beautiful person that I know. And I think, we need to see these people in 3 dimensions wherever we can. There are the scam evangelists, there are the bigots and the shamers and the people doing tremendous damage, but there are also a ton of people who have a God belief, who are just beautiful human beings I'm happy to have in my life. And I wanted to make that distinction.
I think that's a really great distinction to make. I guess the only thing that I really want to push back on and continue pushing back on and fighting is this idea that Christianity is synonymous with good person.
Yeah.
When I first came out as an atheist to my coworkers, to the people who were close to me, the response that I got was, "Eric, you can't be an atheist. You're a good person." And
if you want to know how deep-seated that is in our culture, go to dictionary, I think it's dictionary.com, and type in the word godless. You will see one of the definitions of not having a God, being godless, is wicked, sinful, and evil. That's one of the definitions. And that tells you how deeply the idea of living without superstition or God belief has permeated the culture as a pejorative.
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
a way of saying, well, you're less than, or you're, infected with something that's toxic and even evil. And that's something I think we fight against. It's why in my own life, I use the word godless or atheist often, because once people get to know me and they realize that I'm not, a baby eating hideous person, and that I have great goodness and joy and love in my life and purpose, all those things as an atheist, they don't fit in me in a cookie cutter. I've messed up all their categories, and that's another spot where conversations begin, I think.
Agreed. And I think that you ultimately get to those kinds of conversations that we just had with Kathy. I want to encourage Christians more and more to start moving away from the no true Scotsman thing, well, if you were a true Christian, you would behave this way and that way. Because what that does is it disenfranchises everybody else, not even atheists, but people of other religions. It capitalizes this concept of religiosity being necessary for kindness and compassion. So anyway, it is the time in the show where we thank our top 5 patrons. It's already 2/3 of the way through the show. This is going fast. So I want to say thank you to our top 5 patrons. Our top 5 are Eric Tweet, Desert Heathen, Bethany P, Jay Friedman, and Ward Knipling. Thank you. It's your support that keeps this going. We have an amazing crew who is working very, very diligently, and it is a large crew. It is a lot of programming, a lot of time and practice that goes into putting these shows on at the quality that they go. And it's your support that enables us to keep going. So if you like what we do and you want to support us, please consider going to patreon.com/talkheathen to me. That's patreon.com/talkheathen to me.